How's that for a call to order?
Once we get sitting down, thank you for doing that. They're gonna dim the lights a little bit.
Oh,
But,
I haven't stopped doing that. Whoa.
that might help.
Maybe that's him telling me not to do that.
You've got a riser back here for the.
I saw that. Thank you.
I'll move that up.
When we came up, like, she came up here with me, I sat in the front row. I couldn't even see it.
And so he's gonna play a little video first.
Okay.
So
I'm just going to call in the order. So we can...
Yeah. Okay. So don't start until the music stops.
I'm shameless. Carla? 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 Is there still a video? How was that for a call to order? It was actually a lot of fun. So I'm going to just ask those in the back to find a seat because we're going to do some really special things, and I'd like to make sure you have the benefit of being inspired as we've been by what we're going to be doing tonight. So welcome, everybody. I'm Pat Ford. I'm the vice chair of the board of the Planck Center for Leadership and Public Relations. And maybe more important, I'm a professional in residence at the University of Florida. Go Gators. I think actually I'm supposed to do this when I say Go Gators. And it's my privilege to welcome all of you to the 13th Planck Center Milestones in Mentoring Gala. We could not be more delighted than to be doing it here in this venue at the Union League because it was Betsy Planck's favorite place. This organization was basically created out of, as I understand it, because I wasn't there, this is ancient history, but those who were there tell me that there was, I think, a lunch over in that corner or something that, in which a number of people cooked up the idea of setting up the Planck Center, and not only to honor Betsy, but to carry forward her values and her sense of mission about creating opportunities and encouraging commitment to the next generation of leaders in our field. And so we're delighted to be back here in what Betsy used to call her favorite room in the city and to be honoring her legacy. Betsy was known as the first lady of PR and a pioneer in the industry, and she was passionate about developing and recognizing leadership in our profession and in the classroom. Whether it was in her role as a senior executive at Illinois Bell or as a senior agency executive at Daniel J. Edelman, or in establishing the helping establish the PRSSA, Betsy lived to ensure the future leadership of the public relations, to ensure that it was bright. And Betsy's legacy is vast, but we like to think that the cornerstone of that is the Planck Center for Leadership in Public Relations, which was established in 2005 by the trustees of the University of Alabama. Roll Tide, okay. I'm contractually obligated to leave room for the Roll Tide call with a gift from Betsy. And Betsy's generosity has enabled this organization to thrive and also to help so many students, not only at Alabama, but all around the country. And we deeply appreciate it. The center's mission is to empower and advance the next generation of emerging leaders and also to help them through various forms of mentorship, programming, education, and fostering meaningful connections like today. For those of you that weren't here earlier today, you missed a great morning and afternoon. Thanks to the incredible work of a number of our trustees, shout out to all of them, and to our team as well. We had, I think, more than 45 students, and I think the first time we held one of these summits, we might have had like 20 students or something. We've got so much more ability to really make an impact. And they started out with an agency tour at one of the wonderful independent agencies here in Chicago that went fabulously well. Then they came back and they were doing a session downstairs in which they were working on interactive exercises on professional matters, and then doing some things in which they were drawing and writing things about their identity and about what they saw as the importance of DEI and mentorship in our field. And it was wonderful. It was, the energy in the room was, I got off the elevator when I first got there. I thought there might have been a football game going on this floor. But it was wonderful. And then we had our fifth DEI/Emerging Leaders Summit that I think was the best one of all. And it was just fantastic. And we built in a lot of interactive discussion with the students. It was just great. I hope the students felt the same way. So we're deeply grateful for that, for everybody's participation in that. And then we're also today, we started out today with a breakfast welcoming the new members of a new initiative that we're doing in the Planck Center that we call Planck Partners, which over the years, and I'm one of them, over the years a number of people would get involved in things with the Planck Center, and then it would be over and they would say, so how else can I stay involved? And it was either be on the board, which could only have about 25 members, or come to the Gala next year. And so in my case, I came to the Gala and I crashed a bunch of their other activities until they finally gave up and asked me to join the board. But it wasn't practical to try and build a massive board. And so this isn't a board. The Planck Partners is a community. It's basically we started out, in fact, inviting previous honorees and emerging leader members and participants in our programs. So we've got an inaugural group, but you're going to be hearing more about this because we want this to be something where you can join and not have the pressure of a board membership. So you don't have to have mandatory meetings or various other things. This is to stimulate opportunities for matching up mentors with students and young professionals, and to give those mentors, the people who like a lot of our board members and like Betsy Planck and like our honorees tonight, feel there's a big time currency in trying to give to others and create opportunity for others. So if you're one of those folks and you think you might be interested in joining Planck Partners, please email us at planckpartners@ua.edu and we'll talk. We're also deeply grateful for our generous sponsors, including particularly our premier sponsor, the IW Group, led by Bill Imada. Thank you for that, Bill. And our platinum sponsor, Discover, as well as our titanium sponsor, Cox Enterprises, which sponsored the lunch today. In addition, the screen should be showing you a whole lot of other gold and silver and bronze sponsors. And to all of you, we deeply appreciate it. And on behalf of the Board of Advisors of the Planck Center and of the Milestones and Mentoring Committee, thank you. Thank you. Your support has allowed us to host this Emerging Leaders Summit today, and there's perhaps no more significant and timely conversation right now than to get Gen Z involved in this discussion that we're all having about the future of our profession, the future of business in this polarized and in these tumultuous times. We really, I think, fulfilled that spirit today. And I can promise all of the students that were involved in that, we're going to be following up with you, and we hope you'll stay in touch with us. We're also thankful for the amazing professionals who represent the many faces of our business. From the emerging leaders, we have this Emerging Leaders Council that are often students that were involved in helping us with programs or got scholarships in earlier years, and now they volunteer their time, and they're all somewhere between 3 and 8 years of experience, and they're busy as you know how you can get at that age, and yet they take time to get involved in our programs and do a podcast and various other activities. And so thank you to them as well. And then we'd like to also thank the, well, let me just say that, first of all, would the DEI scholarship students who attended today's summit please stand and be recognized? Now, keep standing, keep standing, keep standing. Now I'd ask all the students in the room to please stand and be recognized. Everybody, wonderful. Look at this. This is our future. We're also, thank you. We're also joined tonight by a number of past honorees in the Milestones and Mentoring Awards. And I don't know exactly how many, but let me just ask, would any of you who have been past honorees in the Milestones and Mentoring Awards, please stand up as well. We'd like to recognize you as well. And then finally, we've got a hardworking and incredibly talented board of advisors. And I'd like to just ask the board members, please stand up and take a bow. I see a lot of them are standing in the back of the room already. And now for the exciting part of the evening. This is where we get to celebrate mentorship and some people that have made amazing contributions in that area. We know from research how important mentorship is to the development of public relations leaders. I remember Harold Burson used to say, public relations savant are made, not born. In other words, somebody doesn't just come out of the womb as a public relations savant. You get to that point through mentorship and hard work, and we appreciate all of what this group has done. And so the 6 individuals we're honoring tonight have, by word and deed, demonstrated a superior commitment to accelerating the success of others in the field. Each will receive a compass that I actually don't have one of. Imagine an award that I'm going to present them. So, thank you. I should have one because I'm presenting one in a second. So there's a compass that we give to each of the award recipients, indicating the focus on the true north of ethics, leadership, and mentorship in our field. And so this one is already addressed to the person that right now I'm going to get this process underway by introducing our first speaker, the recipient of our Legacy Award. The Legacy Award is for lifetime commitment and success in mentorship and in bringing along the next generation. And whenever I'm describing this Legacy Award to folks, I tell them as a means of letting them know how important we think it is that the first recipient, the first year this was awarded, there were 3 co-winners of this award: Harold Burson, Dan Edelman, and Al Golan. And I was there. It was a wonderful evening. So no pressure, Patrice Tanaka, but you've got a tough act to follow here. I have the distinct privilege of introducing tonight's Legacy Award winner, Patrice Tanaka, the Chief Joy Officer of the Joyful Planet. I'll explain that in a second. Patrice is a serial entrepreneur. She co-founded 3 highly successful award-winning PR and marketing firms and reached the pinnacle of our profession, including an induction in the very prestigious PR Week Hall of Fame, and achieved many other recognitions and awards. But for Patrice, this wasn't enough. She wanted more. And like Betsy Plank before her, she had broken through glass ceilings, but she was driven to achieve a higher purpose and to help others achieve their higher purpose. So she left her traditional PR agency perch and founded Joyful Planet, a business and life strategy consultancy that helps people unleash their purpose and achieve success, fulfillment, and of course, joy. Like Betsy, Patrice is a relentless advocate for emerging talent. And like Betsy, she's a big believer in the profound impact of the Girl Scouts in scouting, and a lifelong Girl Scout from the earliest age, as Betsy was. In fact, she's a longtime board member of the Girl Scouts of Greater New York and the recipient of their Women of Distinction and Gold Achievement Awards. So I wanted to kind of give you a sense of how special that commitment is and how special the work she's done there is. So I called their CEO, Meredith Mascara, who was very glad to talk about Patrice, and she described Patrice as, quote, the ideal nonprofit board member, passionately devoted to the cause, always ready to raise her hand and take on the most important challenges, and always focused on the needs of others before herself, especially the girls we serve. Meredith says Patrice mentors countless individual Girl Scouts, and I can attest to that, and to Girl Scout groups, but she's also provided invaluable mentorship to Meredith herself as Meredith expanded her leadership role within the organization. Quote, Patrice gave me tools to bring forth my own personal brand, and they were tools no one had ever offered me before. She can find, this is an important point, she can find the core of someone and help it shine through all the can't do and can't be moments, and to help others to see what they can be, which is what she did for me, unquote. Another of Patrice's mentees, Lori Tucker, who worked with Patrice for 10 years at PT and Company earlier in her career, and then decided to break away and form her own agency, which Patrice encouraged her to do. She said, quote, 25 years and hundreds of clients later, I still know that I could not have made it 24 hours without Patrice, and I am forever grateful, and so is her godson, Blake. And I should mention, Meredith says that her 5 children have Patrice on speed dial. They think she's part of the family. I then spoke with another mentee who met Patrice in 2018 at an event, if you're aware of the Paladin Awards that were given by the PRSA Foundation. Patrice was being given this award for her work in DEI. And another remarkable emerging leader, Sabrina Brown of BCW, stood in a lengthy line to meet Patrice and asked for a 10-minute mentoring discussion. And Patrice said, okay, well, let's set up an appointment. And Sabrina said, actually, I was thinking now. And so they stepped aside to do this 10-minute thing that turned into 30 minutes. And 5 years later, they've had this most wonderful mentoring relationship. Quote, Patrice changed my life, Sabrina told me. She was everything I imagined, her warmth, her personality, her style, her gusto. And she's like a warm light, like a Christmas tree, because she makes people feel so happy and joyful and warm. And you always feel welcome in her presence. I love my work at BCW, Sabrina said, but Patrice inspired me to think beyond that and to broaden my horizon in other ways that have really been fulfilling. And with Patrice, you don't feel scared about taking that leap of faith. You don't feel scared, you don't feel intimidated. She always makes you feel safe. And when Patrice began to focus intently on what would give her joy, she realized one of those things was ballroom dancing. And so, typical of Patrice, she went all in on that. She became a longtime board member of an extraordinary group called Dancing Classrooms, which she still serves to this day, and then wrote this terrific book titled Becoming Ginger Rogers. And believe me, it's a terrific book. So I talked to an award-winning dancer named Marisa Hamamoto, who first became aware of Patrice and became friends after reading the Ginger Rogers book. But she described how valuable Patrice's mentoring has been. She said, quote, I go through a lot of self-doubts, feeling I'm not worthy. And I think we can all identify with that at different times. She said, but having Patrice believe in me and willing me to succeed is amazing. She is so open and authentic, I never have to wonder about hidden agendas. She leads by example, inspired me to think, who can I mentor in the way that Patrice mentors me? Which I think all of you mentors would agree. That's what you want your mentees to be thinking. Pay it forward. She said, quote, she's ahead of her time, like Bill Amata. She and Bill are the OGs who have showed us all the way. And I feel very lucky and grateful to have Patrice in my life. She's like my special auntie. So I hope it's apparent from these anecdotes that there's a very consistent theme that runs through a lot of Patrice's relationships. And I can tell you from my own experience and those of many of Patrice's and my mutual friends that it's a constant experience. It's a constant commitment. And when you spend time with Patrice, you always feel like there's nothing else in the world that she'd rather be doing at that moment. And that she not only is looking to tell you about what's wonderful, she's not looking to tell you what's wonderful about her. She's peppering you with questions about your goals and your purpose and what are you thinking about. And it's actually a wonderful experience to come under that level of caring and empathy and friendship. And I was thinking of her the other day because I'm reading a terrific new book by David Brooks, the New York Times columnist, called How to Know a Person. And as I'm reading this, I just keep thinking of Patrice because of a number of ways he describes how to know a person. And one of the things he said was, if you decide to give somebody your attention, it should be with an on-off switch, not a dimmer switch. It should be with an on-off switch, not a dimmer switch. I can gladly attest, Patrice Tanaka has no dimmer switch on her attention. When you are with her, she's 100% present and engaged, and it's inspiring. And in closing, let me just pass along one final thing that I got from Lori Tucker. When I asked Lori to sum up the effect Patrice has had on her career and her life, Lori decided to send me a limerick. I'm going to read it to you now. Thank God for my mentor, Patrice, to whom life is a joyful feast. She lifted me high, said to reach for the sky, asked for nothing returned in the least. To which I and many others would say amen. So friends and colleagues, please join me in a warm salute to our Milestones in Mentoring Legacy Award winner, Patrice Tanaka. Here's the award. We knew you needed that.
Yes. All right. I'm even taller than Pat was. All right. Thank you, Pat, my mentor and my dear friend. You are a treasure, and everyone knows him, knows that this is true. And thank you to the Planck Center for Leadership in PR and to the Board of Advisors for honoring me with your Legacy Award for Mentoring. This award for mentoring really warms my heart because mentoring is something that I commit a lot of time doing because I believe it's incumbent upon all of us at every age to pay it forward. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank some of the invaluable mentors in my life and share what I learned from each of them that might be valuable to the emerging leaders in this room. My first and greatest mentor was my mother, the late June Tanaka. She was a warm, loving, and generous woman who commanded her 3 children to share your cookies and toys. And she was militant about this, share your cookies and toys, because she knew that if we didn't, no one would want to play with us, and no one would want to work with us. And she was so right, because this piece of advice has served me everywhere from the playground to the boardroom. So thank you, Mom. You were right, as always. 2 other important mentors growing up were my Girl Scout troop leaders, Mrs. Burrows and Mrs. Matsunaga, who co-shared leading our Troop 45 in Kaneohe, my hometown on the windward side of Oahu. They beautifully role modeled the concept of shared leadership, always supporting one another, never confusing us with conflicting signals as to who was in charge. I began Girl Scouting at 5 years old as a brownie, and being a Girl Scout is my longest affiliation of 60 plus years. And currently I am the longest serving trustee of the Girl Scouts of Greater New York. And I've experienced firsthand what a group of women and men leaders committed to girl leadership development can accomplish, including starting Troop 6000 for our most underserved girls living in homeless shelters. In 2017, we started Troop 6000 in one New York City shelter, and today we are in almost 30 shelters in New York City. Recently, we further expanded Troop 6000 to serve girls and families seeking asylum in New York City. From Girl Scouting, I learned the power of courage, confidence, and character, and what can be achieved when you are committed to making the world a better place. Greg Perry, the late VP of Public Affairs for Alexander and Baldwin in Hawaii, and also considered the Dean of Public Relations in Hawaii, was another invaluable mentor. I was fortunate to have Greg as my mentor in my first ever PR job. I was a journalism graduate of the University of Hawaii and had no clue as to what PR was. I accepted the job as PR director of the Intercontinental Maui based on this ridiculous process. I don't know what PR people do, but I get press releases from these people. I can write those press releases. Yeah, I can do this job. That was what convinced me that I should take this job as PR director. Thankfully, Greg took me under his tutelage and taught me many things. First and foremost, that being a trusted PR person is really about being a trusted human being. So thank you, dear Greg. My former colleague, partner, and dear friend, Frank DeFalco, was another important mentor. Frank was one of the 12 colleagues I led in a management buyback from Chiat Day Advertising in 1990 to start PT & Company as an employee-owned PR agency that was wholly owned by the 13 of us involved in the buyback. Now, the only reason I started PT & Company was because I was faced with having to fire Frank and 2 other colleagues when we lost our biggest client. And to avoid this, I decided to lead a management buyback and spin off our subsidiary and set it up as an independent PR agency. Again, not because I ever dreamt of having my own PR agency. It was just a creative solution to avoid having to terminate 3 dear colleagues. And because of Frank, who was a huge fan of Thomas More, author of the best-selling book, Care of the Soul, we created an agency that was all about soul. We explained this in an ad entitled All About Soul. We said in part, we strive to achieve a seamless integration between personal life and professional life. If we must accept that work sometimes intrudes on our employees' personal lives, then we must also allow their personal lives to intrude on their work. Mark Raper, former CEO of Carter Riley Thomas, who we sold PT & Company to 15 years later to create CRT Tanaka, was another important mentor. Mark was brilliant and kind, and the creator of CRT Tanaka's What Can Be brand promise. Mark was a servant leader, And the beautiful question he posed to us was, what if we could be the agency that delivers fulfillment to employees? That was a huge idea and an important part of CRT Tanaka's What Can Be ethos. My dear friend, Pat Ford, who received this prestigious award 8 years ago, is another treasured mentor. He is a mentor to so many in the PR profession. I first met Pat 10 years ago when I cold called him asking his support for my Girl Scout Council's centennial celebration. Pat didn't even know me, but responded by sending 3 emerging women leaders, 2 from Burson Marsteller, to our centennial gala. Since then, I've had the pleasure of getting to know Pat and serving as his co-chair of the Diversity Action Alliance. We had lunch last month in New York, and Pat said something that floored me. He said, we in PR and communications need to own DE&I, and added, if we can't make headway on this, I'll feel that my whole expletive deleted career has been a failure. How can you not love Pat Ford, right? He has a heart as big as all outdoors, and he is wholly committed to mentoring the next generation of diverse PR professionals. Finally, I'm coming to a close. My last great mentor, although I didn't realize it for much of my life, was my late father, Ichiro Tanaka. Now, I loved my dad, but he was a very difficult man. If my mom was pure warmth, love, and generosity, he was the polar opposite. I finally came to appreciate my dad and what I learned from him. He was relentlessly dependable, always. Relentlessly dependable, always. If he said he was going to do something, he did it. You could take it to the bank. My 2 siblings and I never worried about having a roof over our heads or food or clothing because of our relentlessly dependable dad. He was also the cheapest person on earth. He never bought anything on credit. And whenever we kids used to beg him, please, 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 can you buy us this? His answer was always no. But when we started PT and Company and none of my 12 partners nor I had any money to invest in the venture, my dad took out a second mortgage on his home, which he had never done before, and loaned us $80,000 for operating capital. Thank you, Dad. You are my mentor and my hero. And thank you, Planck Center, for allowing me to acknowledge and honor these consequential mentors in my life. Because were it not for them, I would not be standing here tonight. So thank you to all my mentors, past and present. Mahalo and aloha. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine Ducker. I lead corporate and financial communications at HPE, and it is an incredible privilege to join all of you this evening to have very special connections with actually several of the honorees tonight. I have known Dr. Eliza Agazzino for so long that she was not a doctor or an Agazzino when I knew her. Elisa and I were Ketchum summer interns more than 20 years ago together, and it's wonderful to see her again tonight. I also have the great privilege of working for Jennifer Temple, another of tonight's honorees. She has been my manager for the last 5 years, and I learn something from her every single day. And it is my distinct honor to be able to introduce tonight's 2023 Agency Award recipient, one of my most valued mentors and most wonderful friends, Mike Doyle. Woo! So you are likely familiar with Mike's extensive resume, including his roles as CEO of Ketchum, co-chairman of Open Pride, Omnicom's LGBTQ+ network, and national board member for GLAAD, the world's leading LGBTQ+ advocacy organization. But rather than review Mike's CV, I'd like to share 3 lessons that I have learned from Mike. Number 1, never miss an opportunity to learn. I was a 23-year-old assistant account executive when Mike invited me to attend the several-day Global Communications Summit Ketchum was organizing for one of our largest clients. A member of the Ketchum Executive Committee was facilitating the strategy session, and our senior-most counselors on the business, including Mike, were leading it. As the only account team member attending who wasn't at least a vice president, I had the role of scribe. But Mike empowered me not to be relegated to a purely administrative role. He encouraged me to ask questions, to contribute ideas, and lean in and learn about the big strategic challenges our client was grappling with. The experience built my confidence and my curiosity. Mike not only encouraged this curiosity, he modeled it. I can recall several new business pitches where we had no right to be in the room, much less win the pitch, because we had no background in the client's industry or challenges. A baby formula company comes to mind. But I quickly learned from Mike that asking smart questions, demonstrating a genuine interest in the client's business, and learning quickly could get you far. It was with this philosophy in mind that Mike encouraged me to pursue an opportunity with the agency to relocate from New York to Los Angeles to lead our work with a major bank's mortgage business at the peak of the financial crisis. As a 29-year-old single person living on a PR agency salary in Manhattan, I did not have a mortgage. But I had learned from Mike, don't be afraid to ask questions and study up. Use your outside perspective as an asset. He was right, and I spent 5 successful years leading that business. Lesson 2, care about people and lead with empathy. Any agency leader knows that relationships are crucial. For Mike, his client relationships are not just the result of effective programs and client service, though he is among the best in the business in this regard. And his colleague relationships are not just about motivating a team to deliver the best work product, though he's quite effective there too. All of Mike's relationships are built on a foundation of caring, compassion, and empathy. He takes a genuine interest in people, and they feel it. He has made me and countless other people, colleagues and clients alike, appreciate themselves and believe in themselves as a result. Now, Mike will be the first to tell you that I am a little bit of a hoarder. So when, after 15 years in the Ketchum family, I moved from LA to San Francisco to take my role at HPE, I had a lot of stuff to get through. One of the most unexpectedly poignant moments of my hours and hours of purging and packing was sitting to read the countless handwritten notes I had received from Mike over the years. They were notes of encouragement. They were notes of praise. They were funny. they were sentimental, they were largely illegible, but each was a reflection of Mike's very, very special ability to connect and to leave someone feeling more special, more seen, and more cared for than before. Lesson 3, lead authentically. When I started working with Mike early in my career, I admired his self-awareness, his genuineness, and his humility. I appreciated that he took his work quite seriously, but he never took himself too seriously. He assumed positive intent. He was inclusive and set the tone that everyone's contributions mattered, and the best ideas could come from anyone. He would be the first to admit when he didn't know the answer, and he'd be eager to join us in the trenches to figure it out. He was completely comfortable playing a role in the background, positioning the rest of us for success. He was never too good or too senior to do anything. Ask him about the time he ran out to buy a set of clothes, including underwear, for a client who had worked through the night during a high-profile crisis and never made it home to change. I found all of these traits to make him a very authentic leader. But there was a huge part of Mike that he didn't acknowledge at the time. He was gay. It took years for Mike to get comfortable with that part of himself, but he eventually realized that being true to who he was would be one of his many strengths. He came out to me at the Ketchum Summer Party. My first response was, I know. But my longer-term response has been a deep sense of pride, respect, and joy for Mike as he has fully embraced himself. It has made him a better leader and a better counselor. It has given him new purpose as he leads incredible work to advance the acceptance of LGBTQ+ people and advocate for important issues. He stands as a role model for those who may think they can't become a corporate CEO and be true to who they are. I've watched and learned from Mike as he has realized what a gift it is to be himself. So thank you, Mike, for the countless lessons I've learned from you. I'm so grateful to be your mentor or your mentee and your friend, and so thrilled that you're being honored tonight for the investment in people, talent, and relationships that you've made across our industry. So please welcome Mike to the stage.
How am I supposed to do that? I certainly hope that the definition that the Planck Center uses for mentor includes uncontrollable sobbing from a podium. My dad used to say to be proud that you're Irish because it just gives you carte blanche to weep openly in front of people. I am profoundly honored to be with all of you tonight and humbled by this award. Excuse me. I also noticed, I think that that's part of the requirement, right? You actually need these to become one of these recipients. I'll wear that as a badge of honor. First of all, congratulations to Meryl, to Patrice, to Jennifer, to Elisa, and DeAnthony. What an honor to be among you on this incredible night. To the Planck Center, to the board, to everyone affiliated with this fabulous, fabulous organization, not just for this award, but for your tireless work in advancing and lifting our profession, to recruit and retain and grow and celebrate with such intention the rising talent, this incredible group of people that are here tonight and those that I know are either watching at home or a part of the Planck Center community. There's never been a more important time for us to focus on the very tenets of what we do in this industry. Speak up for those who can't, to be authentic in the way that we do that. And I celebrate the work that you are doing in the spirit and the intention of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The work that we've all chosen, or probably more fitting that has chosen us, has never been more vital. It's never been more under attack. It's never been more precious than in the world in which we live, in which authenticity and humanity are under attack. And so I celebrate all of you. Thank you for this incredible night and for the work that you do. Catherine, God, please don't make me the only one that cries. One of you, please. You know, I could stand here for hours talking about what Catherine means to my husband and me. But I want to tell you a story instead of that. Because just think about how spectacular this arc is. One of the clients that Catherine and I had the opportunity to work on many, many years ago was the New York Stock Exchange. They were our client for many years, and we served them so proudly, never more proudly than in the terrible days that followed 9/11 and in the many years that followed. And back then, we were writing media lists. We were doing really anything that the organization needed. And one of the things that we did, and sometimes it was pretty cool, was to escort the celebrities or well-known individuals to the back stairs of the Bell Podium at the NYSE. I got to take John Bon Jovi to the bathroom. I mean, that was, that rivals tonight as a career highlight. Several days ago, Catherine and Jennifer and the incredible team at Hewlett-Packard Enterprises rang the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. And I looked at that picture, and there she was. There was Catherine, with every bit the celebrity star power that John Bon Jovi held that day. And they were the ones that rang the bell. And I think about that. Ladies and gentlemen, could we please, a round of applause for what a career arc that is. May your star continue to shine, and may we all see you on this podium one day. I am blessed to have several Ketchum colleagues here tonight, and I want to thank you for that. Not just for choosing to be a Ketchum at a time when you could be anywhere else, and also to be here tonight when you have families and friends and loved ones and other priorities that are calling you as they should. But thank you for honoring me every day and for being here tonight. In my conversation with the good people at Planck, I said that I believe deeply that one should choose multiple mentors, to try very hard to be self-aware enough to know the many areas you might need counsel, growth, coaching, and to find the many people to give you as much perspective as possible as you figure out your own path. And so with that in mind, we didn't even share remarks, Patrice, but I'm going to do the same thing, to offer a few of the incredible life lessons I've learned from several of my own mentors so far. And they are words and deeds that are with me and that I carry with me every day. From Rob Flaherty, many of you know Rob, our former chairman and CEO at Ketchum for many, many years. He is somewhere on a boat with his wife as we speak in the Chesapeake Bay, enjoying retirement as we all may one day. Rob said this, "Michael, the title gets you in the room. Charm will get you through the first half hour. Doing your homework and then doing the work is what gets you invited back." How great is that for an agency leader, right? I carry that with me every day, Rob. From Joanne Robertson, our current CEO for Ketchum's Global Markets. And you have to imagine this said with an incredibly thick, often difficult to understand Scottish accent. The most important thing you can do for anyone is to make sure they know that you have their back. And then, when they need it, you show up and make sure they feel it. How great is that? Kim Sample is in the room tonight. Kim is the president of the PR Council, and I had the unbelievable good fortune of helping to start an agency with Kim, a Ketchum agency that we called Emanate. They were some of the hardest years we spent and some of the most fulfilling in my entire career, largely because of her. Catherine humbles me with the story that she told you about a summer party that I genuinely don't remember. A lot of reasons you're going to take this award away from me. It's a very long story, and I will happily share it with you all another time. But it was 2007, and Kim was my boss. She was the CEO, and I was her very happy number two. And Kim was on the cusp of hiring someone at the agency who was spot on perfect for the role that we needed. Unbelievable experience in the category we needed, commanding leadership presence, absolutely perfect on paper and great in a room, right? What agency wouldn't want to hire that individual? Until I shared with Kim that I knew some of his personal views, and I knew some of the things that he didn't support, and some of the things that he had done in his career that were difficult for me to accept. And I had never had a conversation like this before with anyone, some not even in my family. And I went into Kim's office, and I shut the door, and I talked about what I knew and how I was feeling about it. And I sat in that office, and Kim picked up the phone, and she called the recruiter, and she said, "The search is over," and I'm not going to tell you why, but she looked at me, and she said, "Just be yourself. That's all I ever want." My life changed that day because of her. So Kim, thank you. An applause for you. Thank you. And just two more, I promise. For my Uncle Mike, who sadly was taken from us way too long, prime of his life and of his career, but whose legacy lives on, not just in my family, but for the many, many people, some I know, some I don't, that I know he mentored. And I remember the night that he told me this: "Never forget that success is as much about good fortune as it is about hard work. So be good and kind to people, because it's from others that the good fortune will find you." Isn't that great? And finally, to my husband, Brett, who is watching us right now on the live stream in New York. In moments when I have struggled with deep anxiety and lost faith in myself or the situation around me, listened a little too intently to the voices in my head, Brett has this incredible knack of just looking at me or texting me and just saying three words: "You've got this. You've got this." And I shake it off. Somehow, miraculously, I shake it off. May each of you hear those words from someone you treasure and offer them back in return. And so let me conclude in a way that I really suspect is a first for the Planck Center, maybe even this room. I want to quote Oscar-winning superstar Cher. I told you there were going to be reasons you were going to take this award from me. I have long given up my aspirations of winning an Oscar. But you stand on a stage like this and you look at the unbelievable luminaries who are here tonight and who have been a part of this organization and honored by you, incredible people. And I think I'm coming pretty close to an Oscar, at least for this industry. But kidding aside, when Cher accepted that Oscar for Moonstruck, she said words, swear to God, this is my team, by the way, not surprised in the least. She said the following, and it sticks with me. I will end my speech the way she did. She said, "I don't think this means that I am somebody, but I guess I'm on my way." Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Is this me? Wow, how do I follow those speeches? I just want to start by saying that every single person in this room can make an impact on someone else. I was in a bar in New Orleans with a friend, and I meet a professor from the University of Southern Mississippi. Her name was Dr. Vanessa Murphy. And while we were having a conversation, she said, "Bill, would you ever come up to Hattiesburg, Mississippi?" And I said, "Where in the world is Hattiesburg, Mississippi?" And she said, "It's about an hour and a half away from here, but you could make a difference in the lives of students. And a lot of people don't come to Southern Miss." And I said, "I'll be there." And when I got there, I met some of the most remarkable students. And during lunch, a person named DeAnthony sat next to me, and I said, "What is your passion?" And he said, "Mr. Amata, I want to make a difference, not only for the people I work with, but for our profession. Will you help me?" I was blown away by that, and I said, "Absolutely." And so I've adopted the University of Southern Mississippi, and I had a chance to get to know DeAnthony. And one thing that I just love about DeAnthony is a person that always says to me, "I'm a man of very few words." And I said, "What would you like me to say about you?" And he said, "Bill, please don't embarrass me, but I know you will." So anyways, after I got to know him, I said, "Where do you want to be?" And he said, "Bill, I would like to work at one of the bigger agencies." And I said, "Name an agency." He said, "Any of the agencies. I want to make people in Mississippi proud. I want to make people in Alabama, in Linden, Alabama, where he's from. I want people to realize that I can make it so that others can follow in my footsteps." And I said, "DeAnthony, where would you like to be? You've opened the door, and I want to make sure that I open that door for you as well." And he said, "I would love to work for Weber Shandwick." He ultimately got a chance to meet the executives at Weber Shandwick, specifically Andy Polanski, who you may know, and ultimately got a job at Weber Shandwick, this small-town gentleman from Linden, Alabama. And it made news in Mississippi. And I was excited. I was like saying, "Oh my God, a person that I really believe in has made it and is now in New York." A little while later, I get a phone call. "Mr. Mata, please don't be mad at me." And I was like saying, "Are you going to perpetuate stereotypes about millennials and Gen Zers? Are you going to disappoint the boomers of the world that think that you move around and job to job? What are you going to tell me?" I got another offer at BCW, and I said, "Do you want this job?" And he goes, "Bill, I think BCW is going to offer me an opportunity." And I went, "Okay, great." And he went off to BCW, and he was very excited about being there. Not a little bit later on, I get another phone call. "Don't tell me you're leaving BCW." "Well, don't be mad at me, Mr. Mata, but I got an offer at Edelman." And I said, "Oh my God. BCW, Edelman, Weber Shandwick. That's absolutely amazing, DeAnthony. Go for it." A little while later, ring, ring, ring. "You will not be leaving BCW." And he goes, "Bill, I got a really great offer at MSL, and the MSL people are awesome." That's like saying you are perpetuating all the stereotypes that us boomers are thinking about. But if this is going to work for you, absolutely. So he goes to MSL, and I said, "Are you good?" And he goes, "I'm doing well." And I see the MSL people, including a few people in the audience, saying, "How's DeAnthony doing?" "We absolutely love this man. We will keep this man forever." I said, "Do not let him leave." Not too much longer. He calls me and goes, "Don't tell me you're not leaving MSL. Absolutely, positively not. Bill, I got an offer that I cannot refuse. But I want you to hear me out. Every single place I've gone to, Weber Shandwick, BCW, Edelman, MSNL, I have learned something and taken something away from every person I've met. And those experiences will always be invaluable to me, including the advice that you give me each and every day. I said, okay, what was the offer? They want to make me vice president and director of social media. I said, you need to take that job. So this is a person that at a very young age became an author. This is a person that at a very young age became an adjunct professor at Tulane University. This is a person that always finds a way to give back. And he is a man of very simple words. So if you saw him on the panel today, he gave 3-word answers, similar to what Mike Doyle was saying. And so some of these things just resonate with me today because he's now become an influencer. He's now become an award-winning marketer. But here are some of the things that he says, because he is a man of very simple words. But these words are powerful. First and foremost, get it done. Make it work. Always be present. Pay it forward. And the most important one that he said to me is make an impact. I want to make sure that you all know that this gentleman is making an impact today, and watch his career because it will take off, and he will pay it forward to each and every one of you 10 times over. Please join me in welcoming our emerging leader honoree, DeAnthony Jackson, the Vice President of Oakland.
First, I want to say thank you, Bill, for the delightful introduction. You didn't embarrass me too bad. I feel honored to know you and to be a mentee and also a friend of yours. Over the years, I've learned so much from you. And tonight, I'm even more grateful for being bold enough to walk up to you and tell you my vision for my own career. So thank you. Also, Bill, by the way, I wasn't late tonight, just so you know. We have this running joke that I run just a few minutes late for everything. So last night for our 7 o'clock dinner, I walked in the restaurant at 7:01, purposely. The joke still stings just a little bit, so I'm getting better, just so you know. To my honorees, congratulations. To the Planck Center, thank you so much. It's amazing to accept an award like this. To Bill's point, typically, I am one of very few words. I didn't know what I would say when I finally accepted this award, other than thank you. As a matter of fact, up until I boarded the plane in New York, I still didn't know what I would say. It took me back to feedback an old boss gave me, similar to what you just said, Bill. He said, "You're like a secret weapon. You don't always say a lot, but when we speak, we all listen." And I've carried that throughout my career. Earlier this morning, the new Planck Center ambassadors, of which I'm very honored to be a part of now, had a breakfast, and the word butterflies kept coming up as everyone introduced themselves to the group. I even mentioned it during the panel session today. And I've been feeling these butterflies since I got here, and I was trying to pinpoint exactly what I was feeling. And I typically don't feel them like this unless I feel the pressure to speak. Because I always want to say something that means something and that inspires the folks that I'm talking to. I take what I do very seriously, and honestly have beaten myself up just a bit, if I must be honest and vulnerable for a moment. I know I don't have long, so I want to leave you with this, specifically to the students in the room. Congratulations for being here. I wish I was a student who could take advantage of this back in the day. I shared these 9 pieces of advice during my acceptance speech earlier this year for the first Hall of Fame award for my undergraduate degree at the University of West Alabama. Go Tigers. The first one is you have more control over your experiences in life than you think, and however you want them to go, they can, but always be prepared to pivot because bumps in the road are inevitable. Second one is it's about the end goal and your life's purpose. So stay present, but stay vigilant and focused because distractions are going to come sometimes. The third one, when you run into tough times, find a sacred place and talk to what you call the Most High. For me, that is God himself. He speaks to us in ways that we sometimes cannot explain. Strive for excellence and take risk, but never be afraid to fail. That's when you learn your best lessons. In my book, 24, it's about 24/7, me learning a life lesson every day. Change for the better of you, not because someone else wants to change you. You only have one life. Go after your dreams with everything in you, even if that means taking another job that inspires you. Take advantage of every opportunity and give it your best shot every single time. This is a good one. Every person you meet will teach you something. Don't take anyone for granted, but always set healthy boundaries. And then the last one that my mom always tells me is be grateful for all things as I am tonight. So thank you, everybody.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Hannah Brown, and I want to thank the Planck Center for allowing me the opportunity to introduce the birthday girl. Yes, we are celebrating more than one thing this evening. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing. That would be horrible. Dr. Elisa Agazzino, or as I know her, Aggie. Aggie has touched my life and so many others with unwavering support, guidance, and boundless energy. Seriously, this woman runs on Mountain Dew and like 4 hours of sleep. I don't know how she does it. But as I thought on how to give proper justice for the immense impact she has made on my life and our stories over the past 10 plus years, I continue to come back to a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. He tells us, "Good luck is another name for tenacity of purpose." And let me tell you, I entered Ohio Northern University flailing to find purpose. I came prepared with an overachieving spirit, but a loose idea on what I wanted to do and become. Orientation day rolled around, and I walked in thinking undecided would suffice for now. Luckily, in walks Dr. Aggie, only slightly aggressively, rerouting me to the PR program, immediately seeing potential in me that I couldn't even see in myself. Her tenacity of purpose changed the trajectory of my career and my life that day, giving me meaning and the most wonderful home at Ohio Northern that I could have asked for. And her support didn't stop there. She was not just my favorite professor. You can brag about that one. She was not just my favorite professor, but a mentor who instilled in me a deep passion for PR. When I wasn't in the classroom, I was sitting on her infamous couch as her research assistant, brainstorming nerdy research papers to submit for awards and conferences, serving as a dynamic duo to revive PRSSA into the powerhouse it is today, and guiding me to accomplish more than I ever expected in my four short years on campus. She proved fiercely protective, helping me exit a toxic co-op position that threatened my passion for the industry and taught me how to confidently stand up for what I believed in. She was and is one of my biggest supporters, sharing very chaotic, hours-long phone calls to catch up on life, continuing to nerd out over PR as I've rejoined forces at Ohio Northern to serve as their PRSSA chapter professional advisor, traveling to Ireland together on a whim to make a work trip just a little more adventurous. This woman is a force of nature, wearing so many hats: educator, mentor, scholar, leader, mom, wife, daughter, and friend, and excelling in every role she has taken on. In a world where true mentors and friends are rare, Dr. Elisa Agazzino is a beacon of light. She has a unique ability to lift others up, to inspire, and to make those around her believe in themselves. It was luck that brought me to Ohio Northern and the home I found there. It was luck the program I entered at the last minute built me into the person I am today. But it was Aggie's compassion for her students, her love for PR, and her unwavering support that shaped me and guided me to find my true purpose, my passion, and my success. Thank you, Aggie, and wishing you the happiest of birthdays today, friend.
Wow, I won't leave you hanging being the only person. Thank you, Hannah, for that beautiful tribute. The first task that was presented in accepting this award was naming a mentee to introduce me. And I've probably mentored hundreds of students without even knowing. And I guess that's because I never really considered it mentorship per se, but instead I'm in a job and an industry where it's natural to build mutually beneficial relationships with students who are going to lead our profession. It was pretty easy for me to name my mentors. I could rattle those off pretty quickly. I think tonight it's appropriate to give my first and now my lifetime mentor, Steve Eisman, a shout out for his constant support in all of my endeavors of my professional career. But mentee, how do you ask that? When I contacted Hannah, it was kind of funny because I sent her an obscure text that read, "Quick, no thinking. If you could name your top 3 mentors, who would you list?" She responded quickly with, "This is an Aggie-loaded question." And she was right, because I thought, if she responds 3 other people, I'll just make up that I'm surveying people and trying to figure out. But yeah, I just don't, I couldn't wrap my head around how do you know if you're someone's mentor when you've built a relationship and it's crossed into that friendship. So thank you, Hannah, for being here tonight and considering me your mentor. Additionally, preparing for this evening, I was sent a list of questions to answer, and as every good PR person, I didn't even ask what the questions are for. I just started, rattling them off and writing back, and then I was like, I should have probably proofread that. What are these questions going toward? But one of the things that it asked was what my mentorship approach was and what advice I give to mentees. And my response was something to the effect that I make sure that I allow time to check in on folks. Many of you probably know the fabulous Gary McCormick, and I did my first CEPR accreditation visit with Gary. And we were talking about books, and he recommended that I read the book Never Eat Alone. And one tip of the many that I picked up in that book was to constantly use some of that dead time, which for me is my 30-minute commute to work, to follow up with others, especially when you don't need anything. And I still practice that today, practicing it with both mentors and mentees. And I would hope that my mentorship style and my advice would garner Betsy's praise. It sounds like this was her approach as well. I heard this at the session this morning where those who knew her well talked about her checking in on them, making time for them. And I'm sure she had more than that, just one individual, but Betsy's focus on others and the belief that they had her undivided attention made that relationship bloom and be forever treasured. I'd like to wrap up with my most important person in my life. And I told myself I would not internalize this, so I would not sit up here and bawl like a baby. But while I wouldn't call him a mentor, but instead my partner in crime and my biggest supporter in every aspect of life would be my husband, Jeremy, who is here tonight. And I'm certainly grateful. I'm certain he's grateful that this does fall on my birthday, so he only had to buy me one gift. But the things that his leadership and his guidance within our family and with our 2 children, it's so profound that none of the other things that I do outside of the home would be possible without his constant foundational love and support. Everyone can grow and be their best when they have that rock, and it makes them a better person. So thank you, Jeremy, for making me a better human. In conclusion, I have to say that I was speechless when Carla emailed me and shared the news of this award. I'm pretty sure I wrote her back and said, "Me? Are you sure you meant to send me this email?" And she said it was, "What are you doing November 2nd? And I was like, "I'm celebrating my birthday." She's like, "Would you like to come celebrate it in Chicago?" Sure. But thank you, Carla, for nominating me and the Planck Center for this incredible honor and recognition. I will always work to continue building lasting relationships with students, professional colleagues, and PR professionals, not because it's expected, but it's because it's what we do. It's how we thrive, and my friends, it's how we learn, grow, and shape this world into a better place. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tim O'Keefe, and I'm the Managing Director for Fleischman Hillard's Global Technology Practice. Thank you. Get some FHers here. I'm deeply honored to be in this room today amongst the very best in the business and some of its emerging stars. I think our future is bright. So can we get a round of applause for our up-and-comers? But I'm here with a purpose today, too, and that's to honor Hewlett-Packard Enterprise's Chief Communications Officer, Jennifer Temple. It was back in 2006, I took a new job as an ambitious vice president at the public relations firm Hill & Knowlton. While I was excited for the new job, little did I know that this decision would be one of the most fortunate moments of my career, because that was the day that Jennifer Temple became not just my boss, not just my manager, but on that day, I was fortunate enough to have found my mentor. Throughout our years together, Jennifer, we would often talk about setting the bar. Not just the metrics, the deliverables, not just the outcomes, but what's really possible here, and what would it take to make something that seems impossible possible and even a reality. Every single day, Jennifer sets a very high bar for herself, but her lesson was always to make sure that I set my own bar, and that once that bar was set, that I would be willing to put forth the effort, the total effort, to make it happen. It's a lesson I carry with me to this very day. Where's my bar set at today, and what's it gonna take to get over that bar? The other lesson she shared with me is, once you've set the bar, how do you build the teams that can bring it all together? She taught me the most important thing is people, and the people that you surround yourself with, the relationships that are forged, and the togetherness that you share, all of it matters. Every moment of it. Jennifer and I would spend countless hours together talking about the art of not just asking questions, but can we ask the right question? She taught me that each question should be carved carefully, and that if you could assert the right question, then that answer could unlock endless possibilities. On one of my final days working with her at Hill & Knowlton, she gave me one last lesson, and it's something I've never forgotten. The final lesson Jennifer gave to me was a single word, but it was a word I didn't know. The word is saudade. S-A-U-D-A-D-E. It's a Portuguese word, and it has no direct English translation, but the meaning behind the word and the sentiment behind the word is a longing for something special that once was, knowing you can't have it again. Jennifer, There have been so many days where I wished I could travel back in time and relive those precious moments I had learning by your side. There are days when I've been challenged to my absolute limits and had my own darkest hours. And what would always recenter me and give me my focus was asking the right question. What would Jennifer do right now? You see, Jennifer not only had a profound impact on my career, she's had a profound impact on my life. She's given me lessons that I've shared with countless amounts of people that you've never met, but they are all now your mentees too, I suppose. And I'm eternally grateful to have you, JT, as my mentor. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my incredible honor to welcome to the stage the most battle-tested, grace under pressure counselor that I have ever seen, my mentor, and this year's John Coton 2023 award nominee, the amazing Jennifer Temple. Cigarettes out.
Okay, that makes 3, Mike. Are you happy? Tim, thank you. And so Dodge is not possible if you didn't have it to begin with. So to have that longing for something that either won't ever be again, or that you're striving to find again, is only possible when you've had it. And the work that we did together was some of my most profound work of my career. And that was because I was learning from you as much as I hope you were learning from me. So you made me better, and thank you. And similarly, Catherine, to hear you talk about the impact that Mike has had on you, now I better understand why you are the profound leader that you are and how lucky I am to have had a chapter with you as well. Thank you, Planck Center, for this. It is a huge honor to carry forward Jack Coton's legacy. I'm humbled and I'm grateful. I also look to all of you and I see these faces of the future, and I see everyone here charting the path forward for our profession. But what you're also doing that is so important and so inspiring is you're lifting each other up. We all lift each other up. And I was struck really early as a young child about what that lifting up feels like and the power of it. Because you see, I was a musical theater kid. And the lifting up that happens with a cast, that there is not just one singular star of the show. The lifting up is the entire ensemble that is making that performance possible. And so I didn't emerge as a Broadway star, but the career that I did choose not only allowed me to have a lot of time in the spotlight and helping my clients and my teams have that time, but also really being behind the curtain and appreciating the guts that it sometimes would take for someone to emerge in front of the curtain and really helping people be their very best selves. So when I think about the parallels between that young musical theater introduction to mentorship and then the mentorship I've actually experienced, there are several. And the first is always perform at your best, because you never know who's watching. And Governor Pete Wilson of the state of California was one of my very first bosses, which is quite something when you're like a 22-year-old and one of your first mentors is the governor of the state of California. Well, he, to this day, if he'll see me 30 years later at a reunion or a function, he'll say, "Jennifer, are you still singing?" And I'll think, how does he remember that? And then I remember why he knows that. He knows because I was petrified, but I agreed to sing at one of his holiday functions for him and the cabinet. And I think he always thought that was really gutsy and that I did something that I was scared to do as a new press relations person in his office. But forever now, he remembers that I did something that scared me. And so that performance and really letting yourself perform at that level and taking risks is where all of the magic happens. Second, from musical theater to professional life, is play the part you want to have, even if you don't have it yet. Play it and ask for it in your playing of it. Render that part. Be the very best that you can be at showing the world you should have that part. Paul Tafe was the CEO of Hill & Knowlton when I was the general manager of the San Francisco office, and he would say to me, Jennifer, I will not promote anyone to senior vice president until I am confident that they could do my job today. So be the chief executive. Think like a chief executive. Make decisions like a chief executive and earn that part. And the third is always keep an eye on the entire cast as you're scanning for talent, because talent is everywhere. It is not just in the lead principal roles. It's everywhere. Give that talent space to develop and watch it grow, and surround yourself with a really diverse collection of experiences and expertise. We can't all achieve greatness without mentorship. Mentorship is the key to unlocking the performance of our lifetime. And think how sweet it is when we can all take that final bow together. So here is to many more standing ovations for all of us. And thank you again for such a magical evening.
Good evening. I'd like to take a slightly different approach to introducing Meryl and this award tonight. You see, as I've walked around this evening, I've met so many people that have said to me, how did you get the honor of introducing Meryl? It's clear to me that everybody in this room knows her amazing accomplishments and her leadership. So I'd like to come at it from a slightly different angle. Clearly, each and every one of us in this room are here because of mentors, coaches, and others who have guided us and helped us grow in our journeys. What I'd like to invite you to do is to think in this moment, who is one of those people that has touched you in that way? Trust whatever person comes to mind for you. And as you think on that person, what are some of the qualities that come to mind? Maybe it's their sense of humor. Maybe it's the way that they believed in you. And wouldn't it be amazing if in this room, the 300 of us were all imagining the exact same person? What if we were all imagining twinkling blue eyes and platinum hair and a laugh that touches us deep in our soul and reminds us of our humanity? What if we were all imagining those shoulders that seem strong enough to carry the world and really gently able to hold us when our heart is hurt? And I guarantee you, if this room was filled with the 300 people that have been part of Meryl's team at Gagan McDonald, we would all be imagining the same person. How do I know that? Because everywhere that I go in the world, I run into someone who's been part of Meryl's team at Gagan McDonald, or maybe they were part of the 2 organizations that she led as CCO. Maybe there are people who have been touched by her and her extensive work at Page and in all of the other places that she dedicates herself. But what I know is everywhere I go, I encounter people who tell me stories of the dreams that are in their hearts, the person that they became because Meryl invested her time in them. One of the things that Meryl says is, when in doubt, do the loving thing. And Meryl doesn't just do that when it's convenient or glossy or easy. She does it when it matters most. She does it when people are having hard seasons of uncertainty. It's because of these things that Meryl has been honored with the Page Hall of Fame Award and the Distinguished Service Award. Because in the industry, she is known as someone who contributes that way. It's the reason that she received the IPR Lifetime Achievement Award. But what I know is that with all of the awards that Meryl has received, that tonight is a really special one. Because tonight represents something that is so dear to Meryl. When in doubt, do the loving thing means that Meryl is always looking for how she can bring out the best in every person she meets, how she can help them be in touch with their greatness, how they can make sure that the stories they tell themselves are the ones that are going to help them fulfill the dreams in their hearts. And as I look around at the room, all these people who said to me tonight, how come you get to introduce her? Frankly, I have no idea. But all these people who said this to me told me stories of how they wouldn't be where they are with the things that matter to them if it wasn't for Meryl. And I know for the years I have known her that the same is true of my life, but not just my life, my husband's life, everybody around me. The ripples of who she is touch us, so many of us. And by golly, I don't know how I got the honor of standing here, but I know that I'm standing for all of us when I say, Meryl, you so deserve this exemplary award, this award that is honored only rarely to a rare person, which is what you are. Someone who has a lifetime dedicated to helping people become the best that they can possibly be. You don't do it as just mentor, you do it as a caring human being with one of the biggest hearts I've ever met. It's such an honor to be part of this community in celebrating you tonight. Congratulations.
Well, I think we all know why I asked Mary Kay to honor me with that introduction. That was incredible. Thank you. And here I go, following Mike. You know, when Ron called me about this award, I was thunderstruck. And as Mary Kay said, it's very, very special to me. Not only was I hearing the news from my idol, I was learning that I was receiving it in the name of a woman that's a legend. And as a longtime Chicagoan, I actually had the privilege of soaking up the sunshine that was Betsy Plank. She was an incredible, amazing mentor to anyone with whom she came in touch. And we all missed the table that was over in the corner of this room. And to be receiving this award in her name is almost more than I can absorb. And as I look around this room, I'm just overwhelmed by the many people who've mentored me through the years. My husband, Mark, and my family, my colleagues at Gaga, McDonald, and APCO, my industry friends, and even my so-called competitors. None of us make it here alone. Patrice, Jennifer, Mike, Elisa, DeAnthony, congratulations. It's an honor to share this night with you and we were all so inspired by the stories that we heard. So I'll just add one more thought. Our strongest superpowers are authenticity. So while it can be useful to mentor people to fit in, it's even more important to give them the support and the confidence to stand out. Because we'll never all belong until we can be that for which we're all longing. I want to thank those who nominated me and the Planck Center Board of Directors for a night I'll never forget. Thank you.
I'm Joanne Bishman, and I have the honor of being the board chair for the Planck Center. And I am also the only thing standing between you and the bar's reopening. But I have a few things that I just want to share with you. The first and foremost is to thank you all for being here. I want to thank our sponsors. We are so grateful for our sponsors and everyone that has contributed to help the Planck Center serve our audiences, which are the students and the emerging leaders in this room and outside of this room. I particularly want to thank a couple people who are behind the scenes, including Carla and Hannah of the Planck Center. I also want to thank Grant Deedy and Bridget Coffeen, who are our champions in putting this event on. And the crew at Zeno Group, who just stepped up and made sure we had all of the best Chicago food selections in the back of the room. I want to thank the students that are here. I want to thank the emerging leaders that are here. I think that you will have been inspired, as I have, by this phenomenal group of people that we have honored tonight. And I particularly want to talk about our emerging leaders. The Planck Center has a number of committees, but I think the most powerful and the most impactful and the one that you will hear the most about is our Emerging Leaders Committee. This group leads a multitude of initiatives, including the production of our resource guides. If you have not gone to the Planck Center site and looked at these resource guides, I challenge you to find anything that is better in this industry to help people who are working in our profession and learning to be the leaders of the future. They also keep us on the pulse of what are the needs and wants of the future generations of our industry. I would like to ask them to stand up. Many of them are here. If you're part of our Emerging Leaders Group, please stand. And I want to tell you about a little thing they've been working on that we are going to launch actually this evening. And they are launching their own podcast. And it's called Talking Points, powered by the Planck Center. It'll feature candid intergenerational conversations between those that are early in their careers and those of us that are seasoned pros. They gave me those words because we know that young professionals today have different expectations and ambitions when it comes to their careers and the advancement of their careers. And so our first season, tackles the topic of making the next big move. And whether it's an internal move or, as we've learned from some of our honorees today, moving from organization to organization, you need some guidance. And our hosts, Carolyn Locke, Andrew Cook, and Sunny Franks Miller have got it covered for you. So we have a sneak peek that for everybody here, please go and download this podcast. It's available now. The first episode features our a former Planck Center board member, and many of us that know very well, and that is Kevin Sagi, who was from the Chicago Cubs at one point during their thank you, World Series wins. And currently the VP of Corporate Communications at the Cleveland Cavaliers. You can get the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or there's a QR code that I'm sure Sunny will help you find. And finally, rumor has it that Carolyn, Andrew, and Sunny are already beginning the next one, and if you have an idea or want to be part of it, please find them. Finally, I want one more time to recognize our honorees. You are inspired, you've inspired us, you've inspired the future generations. We are grateful for you, and we celebrate you. Now, the bars can be open again.